Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just Antoine here with Daily Living with Proverbs. We're on Proverbs 15, and we really want the Lord to add a blessing to our reading of the scriptures and expounding on the scripture as He give utterance on this evening. All right, let's start with verse 1. A soft and gentle and thoughtful answer turns away wrath, but harsh and plentiful and careless words stir up anger. So we have to learn how to control ourselves in situations, right? And to be able to do that effectively, you have to study yourself. You got to know yourself. You got to know what situations not to place yourself in. Um, and to be able to use wisdom, because some places you can't handle. You haven't grown to that place. Some places I can't handle. I haven't grown to that place, right? And so I have to recognize that. I have to look at myself and examine myself and know that, hey, let me not put myself in those situations because I will have loose lips, right? And we used to have a saying that loose lips sinks ships. Being able to control yourself and have that self control is very vital in operating in wisdom. Verse 2 says, "The tongue of the wise speaks knowledge that is pleasing and acceptable, but the babbling mouth of fools spouts folly." And so, the scriptures talks about be slow to speak, quick to listen, right? And so we have to get to that place in our lives where we are not talking as much. Someone said that God gave you two ears and only one mouth, so you need to listen more than you speak. And so some of us have to learn that the hard way, and but some will take it, take that wise saying. Verse 3 says, "The eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching the evil and the good in all their endeavors." And so you got to realize that he's omnipresent, right? And he's omniscient. Omnipresent means that he's everywhere at the same time. Omniscient means that he's all knowing. And so he knows what's going on with your life. And I had a former pastor used to say, "Come clean or stay way dirty." And you have to really just be honest with yourself and then be honest with God about who you are. And when you do that, you realize that God is watching your every move. Then it just hopefully helps you make the better decisions. Verse 4 says, "A soothing tongue, speaking words that build up and encourage, as a tree of life." And so you want to be able to speak soothing words. You want to be able to bring comfort to the stress. I walked into a lady's office today, and she had just lost her brother-in-law, and I was able to comfort her a little bit in that time. I was able to pray with her. And then I had met her a couple of times before, so I really didn't know her. But I was able to soothe her, and she thanked. I soothed her, but she thanked me for my prayer, and it was I think a sigh of relief, that somebody cared and somebody is praying for her. So we want to find ourselves doing those things, and speaking encouraging words to build up, and it's a tree of life. But a perverse tongue, speaking words that overwhelm and depress, crushes the spirit. We don't want to crush people's spirit. We want to lift people up. And if you can't, somebody said, if you can't say nothing good, don't say nothing at all. And that in some cases that works, right? You definitely want to set boundaries in your life, but um, you want to, when you set boundaries, you have to put consequences on those boundaries when they're crossed. Okay, and what you're going to do, not necessarily, because you can't control anybody else. The only person you can control is you. If you try to control other people, that's called witchcraft. So you don't want to try to control other people. You just want to be in self-control. All right. So verse 5 says, a flippant, arrogant fool rejects his father's instructions and corrections. But he who is willing to learn and regard and keeps in mind a reprimand acquires good sense. Okay. And so if you can take correction, for a long time, I would take correction in some things, and then some things I wouldn't take correction in. And so I'm learning to be more receptive to correction, right? And evaluate myself and the things that I do. Um, because thoughts produce feelings, and feelings produce actions, and actions produce results. So if you want different results in your life, you got to be able to analyze your actions, your feelings, and your thoughts. And whatever stands out prevalent, you need to take notice of it, right? Um, and other people will notice and they'll tell you, but if you want to reject everything that don't jive with your Kool-Aid, then you won't grow and you won't learn from it. Verse 6 rather, great and priceless treasures is in the house of the consistently righteous one, who seeks godly instructions and grows in wisdom. But trouble is the income of the wicked one who rejects the laws of God. And so we just got to get into that place where we are, wanting God corrections. We're wanting God to be involved and engaged in our lives because he wants to be. And so we try to shut him out in certain areas. Some of us like him in certain places, and other places we don't want him in, right? And I'm guilty of that as well. But I'm learning to allow him to have um, preeminence in every area of my life and give me direction and correction so that I can prosper and be in good health, even as my soul prospers. Verse 7, the lips of the wise spread knowledge, sifting it as chaff from the grain. But the hearts of the short sighted fools are not so. So you want to be able to spread knowledge, right? You want to be able to give good insight to what's going on around you. Um, and so, it's talking about speaking and, the lips of the wise spreads knowledge. So you want to be able to spread knowledge, right? And spread good understanding to those that are around you. And um, God, you have to get that godly knowledge and that godly wisdom on how to do that. Verse 8 says, the sacrifice of the wicked is hateful and exceedingly offensive to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. Amen. The way of the way of life of the wicked is hateful and exceedingly offensive to the Lord. But one who he loves one who pursues righteousness, personal integrity, moral courage, and honorable character. Verse 10 says, there is severe discipline for him who turns from the way of righteousness, and who hates correction will die. And he who hates correction will die. And so we got to get to that place where we don't mind being corrected, right? Sheol, verse 11, is netherworld, the place of the dead, and abandon, the abyss, the place of eternal punishment, lie open before the Lord. How much more the hearts and inner motives of the children of men. And so if God can peep into those places, Sheol, hell, then he can definitely check into the hearts and minds of us and know our motives. Verse 12 says, a scoffer, unlike a wise man, resents one who rebukes him and tries to teach him, nor will he go to the wise for counsel and instruction. And so you want to be able to, you don't want to be in that place. You want to be able to go to the wise for instruction and correction and counsel. Verse 13, a heart full of joy and goodness makes a cheerful face, but when a heart is full of sadness, the spirit is crushed. The mind of the intelligent and discerning seeks knowledge and eagerly inquires after it. But the mouth of the stubborn fool feeds on foolishness. And so you need to be seeking wisdom. You don't need to be seeking knowledge. You need to be seeking a greater understanding. One of my mottos is that every day I'm more valuable today than I was yesterday. And so that means I got to add some value to my life. What am I doing? I should be growing in some area of my life, some way in my life every day, whether listening to a podcast, whether, studying the scriptures, whether reading a book, listening to a book, just adding value, praying, adding value to your life every day. Verse 11. 15. All the days of the afflicted are bad, but a glad heart has a continuous feast, regardless of the circumstances. And that's what I want to have, a glad heart. Don't matter what's going on. I want to be able to continually feast on the goodness of the Lord. Verse 16, better is a little with the reverent and worshipful fear of the Lord than great treasures and trouble with it. So you can have a lot of stuff, but it's not going to make you happy. It's not going to make you happy unless you have the fear of the Lord. Verse 17, better is a dinner of vegetables and herbs where love is present than a fattened ox served with hatred. Verse 18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger and patience calms disputes. So when you can stay level-headed in all situations, it just makes things better. It makes your life better. It calms disputes. The way of the lazy is like a hedge of thorns. It pricks, it lacerates, and entangles him. But the way of life of the upright is smooth and open like a highway. Verse 20, a wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. Verse 21, foolishness is joy to him who is without heart and lacks intellect, intelligence, and common sense. But a man of understanding walks uprightly, making his course straight. Isn't that nice? Verse 22, without consolation and wise advice, plans are frustrated. But with many counselors, they are established and succeed. And so you don't mind help. You need to look for help. I expect help. That's what I do. I expect help. I expect God to send people my way to help me, assist me, because I know I need help. A man has joy in giving an appropriate answer. And how good and delightful is a word spoken at the right moment. How good it is. Verse 24, the chosen path of the life leads upward in for the wise, that he may keep from Sheol, the netherworld, and a place of the dead below. Verse 25, the Lord will tear down the house of the proud and arrogant, self-righteous, but he will establish and protect the boundaries of the land of the godly widow. Verse 26, evil plans and thoughts of the wicked are exceedingly vile and offensive to the Lord. But the words of the pleasant, but pure words are pleasant words to him. He who profits unlawfully brings suffering to his house. But he who hates bribes and does not receive or pay them will live. Verse 28, the heart of the righteous thinks carefully about how to answer in a wise and appropriate and timely way. But the babbling mouth of the wicked pours out violent things. And so you want to take your time, think about what you're going to say, right? Guard your heart, guard your mouth, guard your words, guard your thoughts. Verse 29, the Lord is far from the wicked and distances himself from them, but he hears the prayer of the consistently righteous. That is those who with spiritual integrity and moral courage. Verse 30, the light of the eyes rejoices the heart of others, and good news put fat on the bones. Verse 31, the ear that listens to and learns from the life-giving rebuke, reprimand, censure will remain among the wise. Verse 32 says, but he who rejects and ignores instruction and discipline despises himself. But he who learns from rebuke acquires understandings and grows in wisdom. You want to grow. So you want to be able to accept criticism and reprimand, rebuking. Verse 33, the reverent fear of the Lord, that is worshiping him and regarding him as truly awesome, is the instruction of wisdom. It's the starting point, and it is essential. It is its essence. And before honor comes humility. We need to learn how to humble ourselves. We need to learn how to not think more highly than we ought to of ourselves. Well, I'm just Antoine, and we went over Proverbs 15, and we will see you in the next section. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you at the top. Bye for now.